I don't even know where to start because I I saw how reality is and how they disorient reality in ways that are so embarrassing. I don't even know how they do this, but that's their job, right? They have to live a humiliating life that they don't understand how humiliating it is. Before I got here, it's funny. I just got in the building. They do something with my organs that, and I always had that when I'm in a car for too long. I have problem with saliva, but with them, with the things they do to my organs, it has become something else. So I get out of the car, and as I get out, I see some like small, like teenage kids, some little no nothing, and they're trying to mess with me. And I have my body camera, so my body camera captures what these people try to create. This is a little nothing little kid who do nothing. She's just not like. When I say nothing, I mean like this is something that could not even give me an ounce of any stimulations or reaction. But I spit what's my mouth, but I spit so much saliva, it felt like I had like a full water, so much of water. And I tried to do a reaction like, whew, my God, I whistle, like, oh my gosh, that was a lot. But I'm also making sure the camera is aimed to that teenage kid they try to mess with me with, because I'm going to show this bottom feeders, this little thing will do nothing to me. And they're like, oh, you see, you whistle because you're trying to like, wow, she's fun. Like things like that. Like, whoa, she's so delusional stuff. It's so delusional. But going back to things that are much more disturbing than that, is today my experience was so disgusting. I got a chance to be something like a juror, not even a juror, but get a chance to go into like a courthouse where they were persecuting this guy who who allegedly did something to his daughter, sexual. So disgusting. He had his first time he did something to his daughter was when 7 years old. He made his 7-year-old daughter do something to him sexually. And then when she was 11 years old, he did something to her. And it was so disgusting. I couldn't even like stay in, because first of all, with the current things that's happening to me, I cannot even deal with the way they would describe things for me. They would make me imagine and give me stimulations. They were giving me stimulations already. They were giving me stimulation when they were describing what's happening to her, or what he did to her. It was so nasty. And it's like the things that make me imagine all the time is what he was doing to his child. And then the way I've seen some people disgusting trash. Listen, I know that horrible things happen to people, but when you become involved in a program that does these horrible things that should happen to you, to other people, including children, you're just trash. So this fraudulent woman tried to be like, oh, man, something happened to me as a kid, I didn't pay for it. I'm like, listen to what they do to children. In the next video, one thing you got to notice is a big picture of me when I was a kid. You got to understand, these people don't even live in reality. This distort a reality to cope with the reality. The reality is this. As target individuals, we are human subjects. To what? To manipulations that we continuously implanted in our brain to change who we are. You are no longer yourself once you put in this program. They are literally doing day in and day out conditioning of your brain and manipulating and rewiring your brain to be something else. That is the reality. And they want you to be acceptive of this manipulation. For me, for example, they tell me just torture period is going to happen to me. Because at this point, there is no ways that I can ever let them escape into that fantasy. There's nothing they can do for me to be like, oh, it's me. Oh, no, this is natural. Oh, no, what you guys are doing is mapping. Listen to how they were doing. Because what this guy did to his baby, his 7-year-old kid, and then 11-year-old, they try to bring back to me as a kid when I'm just turning 14 years old, and try to make me think, you see, That's the same. Look at the picture. You see that picture? And matter of fact, it's funny. It's not funny, but it's just kind of putting things in perspective. His daughter today is a 13-year-old. A 13-year-old kid. His father did something to her when she was 11. What they talk about what I did is about the same age as his daughter today, who's 13 years old. And they were trying to make me compare to this grown man doing something to his child. And they were trying to make me think the same way, no, not the same way, but like make me think that, you see, that's proof. You are abused. Listen, a child in 8th grade, in middle school, can do some stupid things. It's funny, they try to make me look at like some like super like big 14-year-old kid. It's like, no. A middle school child is a child. It's basically saying that this child now, his child that he molested, today, now she is an adult. You understand? They do everything possible to make you think in these retarded ways, to distort reality. In reality, you see them clearly. Look at these men doing things to their babies. While this trust work day in and day out to try to get you to think in these pedophilia ways and try to even make you accept that a child in middle school is the same brain capacity of an adult man. These people are delusional. Basically, they're saying that his 13-year-old child is now the same brain level, the same logical level, the same rationality level, the same maturity level as this man. They are trash. But reality is there. Because what they were trying to do is, I think they were trying to make me look at that and be for me to identify. When in reality, I'm like, you see, that is the real world. Imagine they brought a little 8th grader. This kid did this thing that one time. There were people like, what? Get this kid out of here. Do you understand? But this is a grown man doing something to his child. It was so disturbing. And then the way they were trying to make me think in these illogical ways. Because today what's happening, they have been training my brain in these pedophilia ways, to train me to think about kids, especially little girls, in these nasty sexual ways. Conditioning my brain. Of course, I know who these people doing this thing to me. It's not this bottom feeders I'm hearing here to tell themselves that, hey, we are war. It's governmental entities contracting civilians like this to try to make people accept this manipulation. With me, it's never going to happen. Matter of fact, thank you for making me see reality. Because as they try to manipulate me, these retardations, I see what people, like, this is what I'm talking about. This is a grown man doing something to, this is the real world. Well, you are talking about me as a kid? Trash. And then they do these things to try to mess with me. Like, when I spit and I whistle because of the amount of spit I have in my mouth is crazy. But they try to be, oh no, because you thought this girl was this little kid, this little teenager, which I have her on camera. Which if they ever have delusional reality, because they have to distort reality. If they see themselves, when they see themselves, like, you could never even get an ounce of reaction from me naturally, nothing. And you know that. Look at you and look at me, please. Don't get it twisted. But the things they do, the things they do is this, to try to make me accept this stupidity, to try to make me accept these retardations. It's just so crazy. So this man, let me repeat that. He did things to his child that are so disturbing to even understand. What kind of father would do that to his child? But throughout the whole, the way they were describing what's happening, they were giving me stimulation. They make me think of me as a kid and try to give me stimulation. That's how you feel. It's like so disturbing. You're a foul piece of trash. But that's how they've been making me think 24/7. Yesterday, I remember seeing this ad about like eating healthy, and they made me imagine this thing that this man did to his child, unto this baby. Yesterday, I went to somebody's house. There was a woman who dragged her little baby, her little toddler girl. Of course, I didn't look. I look away. I saw a blur of a troller, and then some. I could obviously see like a child in the person, but I didn't even know if it was a girl. I actually thought my blur that was a boy. Finding out it was a little girl, and that's why 11 p.m. That's when it was. A kid that age should not be up this late. You gotta understand these people are disgusting. Because they want me to accept these things to the point where like it's no, never. I know what you guys do. This is why you're gonna listen to these testimonials. Because I know reality. They then try to go to the point where they were like, they are because we did this, we saw the way you think in your brain, we mapped it to you as a child. They are little girls, you see, that's you. When in reality, I've been making videos day in and day out saying that since August 19, 2019, my brain has not been the same. They've been manipulating my brain to get reactions to kids of all ages. And when this little babies is like, no, we mapped it to you when you were a kid. That started on August 19, 2019, when they started breaking my brain. Now, what they've been saying too is like, no, what we do right now, what we do is like, we see that in the future you could have been like this man with this kid. So we stopped you now before you get to that point. So what we're doing is like going to the trash, ran by pedophiles, these low-life bottom feeders. These programs are programs that are coming from those DOD, DARPA, CIA entities where there's a bunch of pedophiles in these agencies. They are filled with pedophiles, and they've been using this pedophilia type of torture systematically onto others, try to rewire people. People say that one thing you're going to hear is like, is behavior modulation. It's try to change somebody, make you be somebody that you're not. That's a systematically things that they do. Rewire somebody to be something that he or she is not, in order to push them to break down. They break you, you break your ego, break your notion of who you are, change you, try to manipulate you, and try to make you be as accepting of these new versions of who you are. Break you down. They pattern you to repattern you in these disgusting pedophilia ways. That's what they've been doing systematically. That's why they make you have sexual stimulations toward children. That's why they do the program perversion aimed toward children. That's why you have those dreams toward children. That's why they manipulate your memory 24/7. To make you accept what you currently experience. To change your notion of who you are. And the way they're trying to make me think is, no, this is how you could have been. And try to make me have the stimulations and things like that when I'm thinking about what he did to his child. That we're protecting our kids. No, you're not. You torture children. You're going to listen to what they do to kids. In every way, they've been humiliated. And when I was there was this woman that tried to be like, oh, something happened to us when we were kids. Okay, so now you're in a program where they torture children and they manipulate people to think in these pedophilia ways. What do you think? They train you, rewire your brain in these ways. You heard the testimonials. It's obvious that these things are done systematically. It's not war. You are manipulating human beings for the purpose of improving this technology. When you make people look at children and get sexual stimulation, it's not war. It's part of this program. Then come up with your little fantasy stories. I know the reality. But I'm thankful I got to see reality, because this is the reality. This is what's happening every day here. Even looking at the neighborhood here, the stories of what happened is disgusting. It's the real world. Wow, these people are trying to come up with this way. Right now they're bringing up when I spit. I have it on camera. I can literally pull out. You can see me spit like a lot of saliva. Like I drank a lot of water, and I try to whisper. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm whispering like, oh my gosh, like in that, like I'm like shocked, because there's some people there. And it's like, that's a lot of saliva. But at the same time, I remember that this kid, they're trying to make me look at him. I'm like, so they're like, oh, you're whispering because you saw this. You whistle because you saw this scare. I was like, ooh, like delusional. Coming up with the distorted reality book, the delusional trash. And I have my buddy come. And the guy was trying to look at us like, just little nothing else. You think this trash can make me do anything? Target individuals. I gotta calm down. But what I wanted to do in this video, before I move on to show you what the reality is, I saw the real life of what the world consists of. There are pedophiles doing things to the children. There are things in the world that you see, and in real life, that's the real life. A man doing something like that to his own child too, it's so disgusting. Not to any child, but to his baby. And it's so disturbing. And all along they'll try to make me imagine that as if it's me, or try to make me get stimulations and things, sensations. That's the real love. That's real love. Well, me, they make me think of me as a kid. That's what you're gonna see. Please, one thing I want you to focus. Look at the picture, all the way to the left. That picture was taken a year before the stupid thing I did to myself as a child. Let me repeat. What I did as a kid was a year after this picture was taken. It's something stupid. It's not what this man did. I did something to myself. But it's something that's embarrassing. Now, that's something that happened once. It's an impulsive child. Children are children. We're not adults when you were children. We're children. That's why when you look at a child, when you talk about a child, you got to look at it in the perspective of a child. Children can do stupid things. That's why. It's not a grown-ass man doing, And so that moment was an impulsive moment that never happened again. Because that was an impulsive moment. If it was at least something that happened again, they'd be like, oh, you see that? No, just stupid, dumb kid doing something. That's what. The child of this man is today the age of this picture, actually a year older. You understand? Does it make that person no longer a child? It's disgusting. And for me, they try to find ways to manipulate me. It's like, oh, but no. That's what a kid can do. A kid can do impulsive things. Now, these people, listen to what they do to babies. Those are adult men and women that now pay for what you did as a kid. Pay for being involved in a program that tortures children like this. And they try to be agitating. You are paid though. Right? You see how life is this, as if something is warning them every time they try to live this fantasy. There was this woman, they try to be like, looking at me in the court like, oh, something happened to me when I was a kid. It's like, yeah, like military grade weaponry was implemented onto you as a child. Did they suffocate you using this technology? Did it torture you? Did it molest you using this technology? Did they fry your brain? Made you go blind? This is the program that you're in, you trash. And by the way, there are women, and I didn't put that in this, I'll probably put it next time. A woman was molested as a child, and now she's a target, or she was a target individual. I don't know if she's still alive. But in her testimonial, she calls out, because what they do when you're sleeping, they can make you see things, right? They made her see a child being molested to break her down, to mess with her, because she was molested as a child. But they do this pedophilia type of torture where they force people to see pedophilia things. This trash. So I'd rather die slow, being nothing, than be something that involved in this program, and then try to make you understand, make you subscribe to these nasty things. You know what they try to do? They try to say, this is what you could have. No, this man is now being every day in and day out forced to dream, stimulated, react toward children in this way 24/7, conditionally, where people manipulate his brain and call it, we are war. No, this is a man being himself, doing these things to people, to children. Bunch of trash. For me, it's funny when they call me I'm a nothing. They can't even speak about this pedophile you're going to hear. Roy Moore, that's his name. They've been humiliated. They try to dehumanize you. You can't even say the name of a pedophile. Yesterday, they were when I was on the way to somebody's house, they're like, oh, you did this thing in her mouth. You ejaculated in her mouth. Like, this is a disturbing thing, Stitch. Grown ass, this is something? That's a life of something. Oh, please be something like this. You're not a war, you're just a bottom feeder. It was so disturbing. I couldn't stay. I had to walk away. This case was so disturbing. Because this is real world. Me, I'm looking and they're trying to make me think about you gonna pay for what you did as a kid. If anything, it puts things even more in perspective. A child is a kid. This grown man did this thing to a child. Do you think now I'm going to subscribe to these things? If anything, I'm looking at it as like, oh my gosh, they look even more stupid. It looks even more retarded. I saw this grown-ass man standing there like this. Can you imagine if you saw a 14-year-old kid, not even 14, about to turn 14, or just turned 14, just going to 8th grade, and you saw instead of this big-ass adult man. Delusional. When you see this video, the next one, you'll see a picture I took. It's me when I was a kid. Just imagine 1 year after this picture was taken. And be like, we'll pay for what you did when you were 1 year older than this picture. These trash are delusional. To all my target individuals, these people are trying to rewire you to be something you're not. Do not listen to these retardations. Their job is to change you to be something else. To be somebody you're not. And so they want you to identify it. But when they do these things like that, it's just put things in perspective. And I saw a commercial of like Spectrum commercial. And there's this little girl. They did a stimulation. Disgusting. Typical fear shit they do to me. It's the same old thing they do. And they're going to my memories, try to make me experience that things throughout my memories. It's so nasty. And it's funny, I think right now when I was outside, I opened the door and there was this like super tall like kid. I don't know if he's in middle school or high school, but he's like taller than me and I'm tall. I was like, you see, that's like what his height makes him. Go see a kid who just turned 13, 14. You look at the average. You get right perspective. Matter of fact, don't even go look at the daughter of this man. The man that's a 13-year-old. See if she's an adult. See how her brain goes. See those little babies that you guys want me to look at? Those are these kids. Delusional trash. Now for me, they tell me I'm gonna be framed, they're gonna torture me. They're like, I'd rather die this way. You guys know shit's coming to you. Target individual, these people will be reimbursed. It is so humiliating. They love to dehumanize you, say you're nothing. You can't even say the name of a pedophile. You torture children. There's a bunch of pedos in these agencies. You are here trying to make me compare kids, dumb men, impossible woman to a grown woman, a grown man doing something to his own child. And yeah, it's like so sad. This area here filled with pedophiles. To all my target individuals, stay strong and know that justice will be done.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. And you saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my
experience what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and video.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa.
For his inappropriate behavior.
To see every night, that I thought how that could happen, but then I told them that they would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, its not my voice, a different voice, and I realized that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talk back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things, that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words, in my mind, I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Ben said this: the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continue. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me all of this slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion program, and so you can imagine what the slaves of torture are pretending to do to me. In the last days, as today September 9th, 07, anything I do, either watching TV or reading of whatever I'm doing, they brush me sort of say, I feel like I'm aroused all day and I feel the palpitations in my genitals, for what I'm thinking, and since the attack comes so quickly I realized my programming has been set on auto, in their central computers, no handlers could do something like this that quick. What make me realized, the slaves are desperate to get me. Unfortunately for them they are facing a strong wall where no matter how much their computers EAP me, I know I'm not changing. As I said, I feel like they've been set up a beam where I feel constantly stimulated. I'm talking sexually, like a heat in my genitalia.
Any part of the body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of turn off the
My reactions and responses to the torture. The Polish Minister of Defense later retracted all his statements, denying the existence of electronic assault crimes, and he also never completed the 6-month investigation. During a news interview, the former Prime Minister of Poland openly admitted, etc. There are also body movements such as rocking my pelvic area back and forth, repeated rubbing sensations, the sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes. I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy
and have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner's syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner's syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
So you hear the test.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan, and please give us a congressional hearing. Thank you.
Military medical research. I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day. I am begging for you to help us. Thank you.
You feel that you've been injustice?
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of the.
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976 that if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women. They sent me to the mental ward because they said I did this to myself. It would never hurt me. I have been a victim since 2007. You can't see this.
Life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I am very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved.
Went to bed. I had all, and they had all of a sudden I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the use their telephone, so I could make airline, flight, because all I wanted to do was leave Chicago. And so I figured I'd make my plans in a hotel. I didn't think that they could hack the hotel. I was very naive back then. I didn't understand the full technology spectrum or even interest, and all I wanted to do was leave. So I was at a hotel on a relatively high floor, and they had all of a sudden I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the night before I was attacked really bad. I noticed a maintenance man about 10 or 11 o'clock at night messing with all of the lights up and down the hallway. And as I'm sorry, I get kind of upset when I think about this because it's really messed up. Um, and my spidey sense went off, and I was really kind of nervous about like what the hell he was doing out there, because he was kind of a sinister, he was real creepy kind of person. So the next night, I believe it was a Friday night, I went to bed. I had all of the doors, all the locks on the door, even the one that kind of like goes over that you can't open from the outside. I had everything locked up. Figured I was safe. I went to bed maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, bleeding out of every hole, sick. Someone was in my room, or had been in my room. Food was missing. My dogs were traumatized. I had been obviously sexually assaulted uh, in all the worst ways possible. I got up, first thing I did was vomit. And all I wanted to do was I was just in shock. There was a do not disturb sign on my door, and I didn't do this. And there was lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up, and my hair had obviously been pulled out, and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Palos Community Hospital, um, under the directions of a non-compromised police officer, who told me that if anything happened, to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test. But she refused me a rape kit. And so I had already been kind of traumatized with hospitals anyway, and honestly just wanted to leave. So I stayed in my room until about checkout. And then when I was downstairs waiting for my cab to come to take me to the airport, because I just was going to get on a plane, I had $10,000 in my pocket and just wanted to leave. There was a young man who had to have been no more than 23, 24 years old. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Promise you'll take me back to my room and I'll be okay." And like was mocking me. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know? And kind of looked at him, and there was a girl with him, a young girl, once again, shocked by how young they were. And she was like, "No, no, no, no."
And I am a victim of organized stalking, V2K abuse, and I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, and I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
Hello. Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. It's brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, first floor, second floor, 2 garage, backyard, land, everything. Can't live in my house. My neighbors are shooting direct energy weapons through my house. I hold my heart like this. You know why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. Come get me. Oh, Lord, because I think I'm dying. I'm making this video
in an attempt to expose this horrific nightmare.
Hello, I'm making this video to honor the third annual Targeted Individual Day. That's August 29th, 2020. My name is Linda Marie Sharp in Mendocino County, California, United States. I am a targeted person and have been for over 12 years. I am electronically tortured by directed energy weapons.
Hi, my name is Lisa Davis and I'm in Duluth, Minnesota. I am a targeted individual.
8 billion brains on the planet, potentially. Read them. Marines. Underwater.
How do you explain this is happening to Len? How do you rationalize it?
Come in private. Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
Can I talk? Here's how I do my studies, and I wanted to find the commonalities, but I have to throw away the ones I'm uncertain about that are true targets. You know, maybe there's natural schizophrenia, there's a whole bunch of chemical imbalances,
Right,
etc.
right.
These weapons can actually induce and mimic all those diseases and effects. But the conversations, the scripts, they're called, are always the same. And I've heard them all. They're slightly tailored for each. 8 billion brains on the planet. We're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this. And so anyway, my interview with Len, he very well described a typical breakdown script that's used on almost all the TI victims. TI stands for targeted individuals. Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz.
Had sexual contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. The CIA The viewing of images of abuse have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency in our intelligence agencies, or is this something that is more pervasive in the general population than I originally realized? I mean, what's going on here? This is so bizarre. Remember, it's so evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind